Good day, everyone. You're welcome to another edition of the in depth training on dyslexia. So, today we are going to be talking about the early intervention. What is early intervention? Most children who become poor readers experience early and continuing difficulties. That is, the signs, the symptoms, the signals, everything, the red flags must have been there as early as possible. And it continues. One of the most compelling findings from recent research was that children who get off to a poor start in reading rarely catch up. So it is very important for us to catch them before they fall. Now what do I say to many people? I say, since it's not easy, there are different categories of dyslexia. Since it is not very easy to identify, what do I tell them? Treat from the beginning, from the start, treat every child like a neurodivergent. Do you understand? So you act like every child is a neurodivergent, because from studies using the multisensory way of teaching and to learning, a lot of all these things help all type of learners. Even it makes the neurotypical even better. So first and foremost, when you get to be with children, teach them like they're neurodivergent. That, like, don't teach them like, oh, you ought to have known this before. Teach them on a clean slate, like you've never known them before. So it's important for us to catch them before they fall. Early intervention prevents reading difficulties from worsening. Now, what does early mean? Early means first 2 years of school. Our first 2 years of school. Okay, this is no longer the Thelsian intervention. I'm using the standard British, the way British see their school, they run their school. It's quite different from the way we Nigerians run their school. We run our school, but we can infuse everything together. Okay, so early means first 2 years of school. First 2 years of school. Although it's very important for parents to learn about dyslexia, most especially as early as possible. And it's parents who learn about dyslexia maybe from their first child. I talked about teaching dyslexics, and I noticed that the dyslexia runs in the 3 children. Now the parents already have an idea, because the first child showed stealth, the category of dyslexia known as stealth dyslexia, that begins to reflect later, like maybe when they are in basic 3, what the Thelsian intervention called the visual dyslexia. Now it doesn't show at the start. Now others were also showing dyslexia, mild dyslexia, and then intervention was able to come for others early enough. So early means first 2 years of school. Then intervention means systematic, structured, and explicit teaching that is targeted at the individual needs of a child. That is what intervention is all about. And I always advise school owners that instead of saying extra lessons where you keep teaching them the same verbal and quantitative, or start reciting, this is how it ought to be, call it intervention class, whereas you are intervening, just like the word intervention means, using a systematic, structured, and explicit teaching that is targeted at the individual needs of that child. So that is it. So rather than say, we start teaching our work from primary 4, primary 3, we say we are having an intervention class that, yes, we are going to start from the foundation. Many parents will be like, I don't want my child to go back to primary 3. He's already 10 years old. He's already this. We have to be strategic with all our approaches. So this is it. That is what intervention means. The best chance dyslexic children have for success in school is to be identified as soon as they start, and immediately start getting support. The research found that most children identified as falling behind who received intensive help by age 6 will go on and become good at reading. Now, the age children receive intervention affects how quickly they can catch up and how long it takes for them to reach a good reading level. Now, 90%, according to research, it shows 90% will become good readers of if they get help at age 6, while 75% of children whose help is delayed to age 9 or later continue to struggle throughout their school careers. That is why it's very important from a very young age to learn about, for there to be intervention. Let all teachers, I always tell school owners, school directors, school administrators, let all hands be on deck. Let all teachers be, trained about dyslexia. Let them know about it. Let them be able to give support, and let there be a progress report, so that when you are handing over to the next teacher knows that, okay, this is the support this has been getting, this is the support this has been getting. It's very important, because like I said before, even as an interventionist, you can't do it on your own. If you are a private tutor helping a child in school, rather at home, not that the child is just doing home tutoring alone, you are helping the child at home and the intervention is not in school, the child will be doing well at home, will not be doing well in school. So all hands need to be on deck. Now, another thing is, if help is delayed at age 9 rather than age 6, it takes 4 times as long to improve the same skills by the same amount. Now, imagine, let's look at our system of education. I've heard several parents say, oh, my child is 5 years old and they're all proud. The child is in primary 2 and everybody's looking at that child. That child is primary 2. Yes, truly, there are some children that are extremely smart, incredibly smart. I do not doubt that fact. But it's not by comparison. Sometimes that child, you're not in the child's class. You don't know how the child is performing. It is all what you're doing is you are reacting on hearsay. Then you go to your child's school. That's what parents do. My child, that one is primary 5, or I am sorry, is 5 years old and is in basic 5. Or sorry, not basic 5, basic 2, basic 3, and is doing wonders. Why has my child not written in this class? My child is 6 years old and she's still in nursery 2. If you look at the system, how they run school actually abroad, at 5, that's when they really start kindergarten. Kindergarten year 1, that is what they do. They really start school at that time. Now, if help is delayed at age, I think I've said that, at age 9 rather than age 6, it takes 4 times as long to improve the same skills by the same amount. Now imagine a child getting intervention at primary 1, or let's say kindergarten, our own, from crèche, from the beginning, because in subsequent class we'll be dealing with how to support dyslexic children of various ages 3 to 4, 5 to 7, 8 to 12. We'll be looking at that. Now, a child that gets intervention as soon as possible compared to a child that gets intervention later, maybe basic 5, year 5, year 6, going to the secondary school, the child will struggle. To be easy for that to catch up, because so much has not been done. So that is why it is very important to get what? Support. And at that time, maybe when the 9-year-old is already having the support, the 9-year-old may be undergoing trauma, academic abuse, battling with self-esteem. But that youngster just started. It's just more like lessons, having extra lessons, maybe 1 hour after school every day, intervention classes. The child will be able to catch up, because so much has not been done. But that 9-year-old child will have to be brought to that, 6-year-old child's level, learning at the same, because that is learning at the same, at the same stage. And a lot, it will take 4 times more. It will be more tedious for the child to do better at that time. Now let's look at the 5 facts about early intervention. Now, number 1, screen all children age 5 to 6 to identify the children most at risk. Now, before getting them into school, it's not just about math and English. Oh yes, or most times schools, because we just need a bit of, we want customers, we want to make money. They don't do they don't do proper assessment. So I always tell school owners and tutors, that teachers, that it's better to set the cards straight from onset. Set the cards straight from onset. Let them know what they are in for. So this is how you screen or assess. Screening and assessment, they fall under the same thing. Screen all children aged 5 to 6 to identify the children most at risk. After you've been, giving them the right support from maybe ages 3 to 4. We know in Nigeria, for instance, we start school from ages 3 to 4, giving them the right support. So you do a test of letter names or sounds and a measure of phonemic awareness. The professional judgment of an educator is also an important factor because a veteran in in education, like someone who has been there in education, is able to who has had some years, some experience in education, is able to intervene appropriately. So the professional judgment of an educator is also an important factor. An experienced teacher may intuitively know which children are not developing as quickly as others in the class. So after you stayed with them for years, you understand, months, let's not say years because it's not up to years, for a month, for a session or for a term, because the truth is that proper assessment can be done after 3 months, after you've done your work for 3 months, consistently for 3 months, you are able to identify. So an experienced teacher may intuitively know which children are not developing as quickly as others in the class. Now, number 2, target areas of specific weaknesses by using structured, systematic, and explicit instruction. It is very critical. For what? I've said it severally, that is not giving them expo. Their brain is trying to process a lot of things at the same time. So make sure whatever you are giving them is structured, is systematic, and explicit. The instruction, very critical note to get there. Now, children need to be directly taught the skill and receive sufficient opportunities to practice it. Some of these things these children will require is the blending skills. When you're looking out for them, the blending skills. How do they blend the sounds together? Letter sound correspondences, phonemic awareness, early phonic rules, not coming to the class teaching everybody, thinking everybody will know it the way they ought to know it. Now, use strategies to learn irregular, tricky words. There are some words that are tricky, like the TH. In some, TH can sound is voice and voiceless. You have the THE, the, and you have the THINK, think. So there's some three tricky words that help them to identify. Don't assume that, oh, this one is voice, this one is voiceless. So use certain strategies to learn irregular, tricky words. All language and balanced literacy methods are not appropriate or effective for early intervention. Don't make everything old. That's what I said before. Don't make it an old language. Don't imagine they will comprehend the all of it. Everything needs to be segmented. You put everything. It has to be systematic. So you don't use that for early intervention. Don't delay. Research shows that most children who fall behind in kindergarten year 1 never catch up using the let's wait and see approach. So many times, they tell you that some children will catch up. Sorry, maybe when it gets to basic, some children don't. When they are like that, they are just, we are all different. So don't worry, in basic one, you catch up. You'll be surprised. We have children like that, so they catch up. Now, I've heard people use instances where they will say, even about Einstein, Thomas Edison, everybody identifies with their glory. They don't identify with the depth of their story. They don't know there is a foundation for that story, for that glory. They don't know the story. They say about Einstein too, he struggled in school. They don't know that he received intervention, his mother. They don't know that that's Thomas Edison. They don't know that Albert Einstein failed severally and he continued, he was being persistent. He failed zoology, he failed a lot of courses rather. Then he went back, he did them again. So this let's wait and see approach causes them to fall further behind and often leads to damaged self-esteem when they wait. You know, say, you are still there. Your mates are this at this age. Is this how you are supposed to be? You've repeated this class. You've done this. We saw the story of Michael. He had a self-esteem issues before his mother was able to take the bull by the horns and did what she was supposed to do. Even with early intervention, there will be around 5% of children with profound dyslexia who require intensive support throughout school. Neuroplastic says it. The brain can change. Yes. And yes, we know in Africa, in Nigeria, we are religious, let me not say religious, godly people. We know things can change. Yes, we have faith. Then we have to put our works and our faith together to make sure that we have that miraculous results that we need. Now, we must also identify, remember, there are different types of dyslexia, categories of dyslexia. We have the mild dyslexia, we have the what do you call it, the mild dyslexia, the severe dyslexia, and the profound dyslexia. And in the case of the profound dyslexia, those ones will need intensive support throughout school. Some people later on they'll catch up and it will not even show. Some people that even received early intervention, it never even showed they were dyslexic. It will be later when they start hearing about it, maybe when they go older and say, I had these difficulties, but I was able to discover that, this and this happened, so I became better. Oh, that's awesome. This is it. That is that. So that is it. So while some, they will need support. They'll need support in primary school. They'll need support in secondary school. They will even need support in the higher institution. They will need extra tutorials. It happens just like that. And that is not to say they are not good at other things. They struggle. But remember, it's a language. Dyslexia is language based. So 95% of poor readers can be brought up to grade level if they receive effective help early enough. Now, that is the reason for early intervention. Screening and offering reading intervention at an early stage is not a death sentence. It's not labeling. Many people do not like labels. That's why whenever I want to talk to people about dyslexia, I'll say that, do you know you have Albert Einstein's brain? Do you know you have Steve Jobs' brain? Do you know you have Elon Musk's brain? And when you start telling parents like that, or you start introducing it to them like that, they are more interested. You now begin to tell those stories behind the glory. You begin to tell them things like that, and they'll give them all the support. They want you to intervene as soon as possible. Oh, who does not like to be associated with great things? Okay, so getting an intervention is not a death sentence. It's not labeling. It's simply acknowledging that a child struggling with learning needs. It's acknowledging that a child struggling with learning needs all the help they can. So what is it going to be if you don't give a child the support the child ought to be? Is like, waiting. When you say let's wait till the person will catch up, it's like allowing somebody to drown before help comes in. So what are we going to do about this? Are we going to let that kid drown, or are we going to offer them a life jacket? So intervention is a life jacket. It's just like sending a lifesaver, making them float. So that is it. Okay.